So, The Witcher 4 tech demo released last week, and this was my reaction.
Oh my god, we're going to Lan Exeter! We saw Lan Exeter! That's my literal dream location! I'm insane! Oh my god, and we have Kelpie! And we're going to Lan Exeter! And it's confirmed that we're in Kovir! I'm gonna die! This is the best day ever!
Hi. My name is Vera, and now that I've calmed down, it's been a couple of days, let's break down what my key takeaways were from The Witcher 4 tech demo. I first want to break down what my interpretation of the word tech demo is, because there's been so much debate online what it actually was. On one hand, we did see the cinematic director Kajetan Kapuscinski on stage with a PS5 controller seemingly controlling the movements of Ciri. However, on the other hand, in other segments of this demo, we were flying through the foliage or seeing a cinematic unfold, and it's quite unclear as of now if that's an actual cinematic in-game or if it was scripted for the purposes of this presentation. The way I am interpreting it for right now, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, is that they just took a slice of the Witcher map, the Witcher world that we are going to be experiencing in The Witcher 4, and they planned a demonstration of the technology that they are working with in Unreal 5 to kind of showcase the next-gen potential technology that they are aiming for and working on at the moment. However, I'm not a gaming channel, so I don't know that much about nano foliage or the NPC interacting with the environment in the way that we saw in the demonstration. So bypassing the stuff that I don't know too much about, let's actually talk about what was the meat of the presentation for me. And I'm gonna go in a semi-chronological order of how it was presented to us. First, we had a cinematic that showed two men in a cart smuggling some counterfeit coins by the look of it, until they are attacked by an airborne creature. This creature is later revealed to be a manticore. Personally, I don't think that this story is telling us too much about the main story, but I think it's really cool that we're gonna finally be able to fight a manticore. And the creature design just... chef's kiss, chef's kiss. As we may have predicted, the manticore seems to win this interaction, if you can term it that. And we see a coin rolling over, then a little time skip until our main character, Ciri, picks up the coin the next day or so. We find out that she was hired by some guy called Fruin, and that he clearly lied to her about what the smugglers were actually transporting. Something that I really appreciate about CDPR is that they really don't hold our hands. They treat us like intelligent adults, and so they don't have to spell out every single thing that's going on. And more than that, they're using these cinematics to already start the world building for The Witcher 4. I'm going to get to it in a second, but this game is going to be set, at least partially, in Kovir, and smuggling in Kovir is very much a big part of the economy. So even though it's not spelled out for us, we're already getting these tidbits that are slowly drawing the world out for us. But let's talk about Ciri's appearance, because she picks up the coin, she walks out from under the shadows, and then we have this beautiful landscape image of her standing at the edge of the cliff looking at the mountains. The first thing I want to say is that I'm really getting more and more used to the new voice actress. I think that she's doing a great job at being an older, hardened version of Joe Wyatt's performance from The Witcher 3. I still love that performance, and I'm so sad that we don't have a continuation. But I mean, she is 54 right now, and if she doesn't want to work on The Witcher for the next trilogy, because last time that we heard this was going to be a new Ciri trilogy, well then, I can't blame her. I'm grateful for the food that I'm given. But yeah, this new voice actress, I'm really starting to get the vision, and especially in this trailer, we got a much wider range of expressions, I felt like, from Ciri, other than just in the previous cinematic. So I'm really starting to get accustomed to this new performance. When it comes to Ciri's physical appearance, I think she looks great. However, in a few scenes, and I don't think I've seen anyone talk about this, so maybe I'm just really nitpicky, but especially when she puts the hood on, or when we get her from like a weird angle, I feel like sometimes she looks like the 0.5 camera. You know, like in the motion capture that they do, that's kind of what the people look like. I feel like that really hasn't been smoothed out yet, and it does give me kind of uncanny valley at times. But I mean, again, We don't know how much of this is actually going to make it into the game, and they're still working on it. So they have time. And I think overall, it looks incredible. This is just a small nitpick. The other thing that I noticed since we got much closer to our dearest Cirilla is that she does in fact have her green eyes. In my last Witcher video, when I kind of covered my first initial very just blurting my thoughts out, literally like a few minutes after watching the cinematic sort of video that I did, I was really unsure if they got rid of her green eyes, and I was just so upset by that because I know it's such a small detail, but it's a huge part of her heritage, and Sintra is so important to her. I mean, for those of us who have read the Witcher books, we know how obsessive she becomes about her identity and her country and her heritage. So I was just really sad to see the green eyes go because I wasn't sure just in the lighting, but here we can clearly see that she has green eyes. And I also like the, I guess, distinction that she has from the other Witchers with their yellow eyes, because I do think that even though there is nothing in the lore that explicitly says women can't be Witchers, since there is no canon precedent for this, we need an explanation of how it happened. And for those of you who missed it, because I assume you don't obsessively stalk my comment sections, Philip Weber, the narrative director for The Witcher 4, actually was kind enough to not only watch my video, but comment on it and address that concern of mine because it is my biggest question going into the game. This is what he said. Thanks a lot for this video and the passion. I can't reveal any spoilers, but we definitely won't take the trial lightly. Here he is referring to the trial of the grasses. It's a huge deal, and how this could even work for Ciri and how others react to this happening is definitely a huge part of the story we're going to tell. The reason why I'm so pressed about the trial and why I really want them to take care of the trial is because we just don't have a precedent for this. And when we don't have a precedent for something, I think we should get an explanation, you know? For example, if someone in the real world was randomly born with gills or wings, I mean, sure, there's nothing written in like the code of the universe that can't randomly happen. However, scientists would want an explanation, right? And so they'd probably, do some like DNA testing to figure out what happened. I don't know if that's the best analogy. But it's the only one kind of coming to my mind. And more than that, there is this incredible scene between Geralt and Calanthe in The Sword of Destiny, in the final short story, Something More, where Calanthe is talking to Geralt about how many children die and that it's not just the trial of the grasses, it's also the changes and the mutations and etc., etc., and that ultimately how many of the boys that start the process actually reach the medallion, and that what does it matter whether it's just some random child that ends up dying in the process, as so many do, or one that was chosen by the Witcher for the Law of Surprise. And just what is so special about this mythicized child of destiny? Is it that they would survive the trials? Like, is that what they believe? And Geralt says, no, we believe that a child of destiny would not have to go through the trials, like to be a Witcher. And, you know, since Ciri is a child of destiny, she's the child of destiny, doesn't that mean that she doesn't need to go through the trials to be a Witcher? And more than that, she already has been referred to as a Witcheress for years, decades, longer than I've been alive. This is Sapkowski's book Świat Króla Artura, The World of King Arthur. It was originally published in 1998, and on the back cover it literally says that the books are with Geralt and the young Witcheress Ciri in the main roles, z Geraltem I młodą wiedźminką Ciri w rolach głównych. So since Ciri already has been a Witcheress, at least in name, since at least 1998, I think that we need some sort of explanation why she would choose to go through the trial, how the trial works, and how people react to that. And so I'm just very, very grateful that Philip Weber took the time out of his day to not only watch my video, but address my main and really only big concern. And I really respect that. So yeah, thank you so much. It really means a lot to the fans, I think, at least to me, because I feel like we are being heard. Yeah, Thank you. Anyway, back to discussing the actual appearance. I feel like sometimes, especially when we get to Valdress, the shading for the hair is a little bit off. I think it's a little bit too vibrant in some cases. Don't get me wrong, I love the vibrancy. I love the aesthetic of the town. I think CDPR has such a talent for capturing energy and the atmosphere of the Witcher world. I really think that if you would take a screenshot of anything in this demo and then asked a fan what video game this is from, they would say The Witcher without having to be told that beforehand. But I do think that in that one scene, the hair was so white and so blinding that it kind of broke the realism. But hey, I'm all for an interesting art direction. Like The Witcher 3 didn't look realistic all the time, but it looked incredible. Anyway, as Ciri starts walking down through the cave complex, I guess, back to the road, we see the landscape, and I mean, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Again, I don't know how much of this is actually going to translate to the actual game map. I don't know if this was just generated for the purposes of the tech demo, or if this is a location that we will be able to explore in-game, but either way, if this is what they're aiming for, I think it's a great goal because it looks beautiful. Moreover, we get a confirmation that the game is set in Kovir. And this was one of the reasons why I squealed so much, because I have said numerous times that Kovir and Povis is like the northern kingdom that I would love to go to probably the most. Look, yes, I know we did kind of anticipate that it would be in Kovir because the first time that we saw the Lynx Battalion, it was covered in snow. Kovir is like the northernmost kingdom and there's a lot of snow. The setting of the reveal trailer was quite chilly as well. And 3, the codename was Polaris. And look, maybe they really, really love the campsite in the north of Poland that has the same name. But I thought that it was more so to do with like, you know, the North Pole or the Gwiazda Polarna, the North Star, you know, the polar star. I don't know what it's called. You know the one. But I'm hyped nonetheless to get the confirmation because it's just... I'm so excited. I think it's going to give such a unique energy to the Witcher entry because 1, it's the richest kingdom of their northern kingdoms. It was actually initially like a vassal state, but like not a vassal state of Redania. It was considered to be very poor. But then they discovered that actually there's a lot of gold and minerals and salt that they can use. Out of nowhere, it became really rich really fast. And through a bunch of political maneuvering managed to separate itself from Redania and become its own kingdom. And another reason why I'm so excited and think it's going to be such a unique location that sets it apart from the others is that Kovir is independent and it didn't take part, well, at least not outright, in supporting the northern kingdoms against Nilfgaard or supporting Nilfgaard against the northern kingdoms. Therefore, it's not as directly involved in all the politicking that we would see in like Redania, Temeria, Kedwen, Edirn, and those countries. Even though obviously Kovir kind of has its little claws, talons in all those countries, but you know what I'm saying. And for this reason, it acts as a safe haven for people. Of course, that doesn't mean that there are no tensions in Kovir. Famously, the Griffin School was there and then it was destroyed. So exceptions happen all the time. However, it is the location that Triss wants to take the mages to from Novigrad when she's saving them. So depending on how far in the future this game takes place from The Witcher 3, I wonder, will we be seeing Triss Marigold? Even in the ending sort of sequence that in The Witcher 3, if you for some reason choose to be with her, we find out that she and Geralt live out their years in Kovir. But yeah, so I wonder if we might see a familiar face there after all. Anyway, as Ciri continues down the path, she suddenly encounters her horse. And I can't... Okay, guys, I know that we could have assumed that they would just give her Kelpie, her horse from the books, but it's so nice to have an outright confirmation. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Ciri actually has another horse, kind of. I don't know if you can really term it that, but no spoilers, in the last book, and I'm really curious if we get to see that horse as well. But yeah, I'm so happy that Kelpie is here. Now, I don't know if this is the original Kelpie. The average horse lives like, what, 25 years? So So I don't know how far along we are, but even if it's not the same Kelpie, I think it's still cute that then she's continuing the tradition of Geralt naming every single horse that he has Roach, with Ciri naming every horse that she has Kelpie. Like father, like daughter, am I right? There is a piece of lore that I wonder if they're going to implement around her, and that's that there's like this magic bracelet sort of thing that is able to summon Kelpie to Ciri, and so if they need a lore explanation for Kelpie doing random things and appearing on roofs, then I guess that could be an explanation this time around. Originally, Ciri got Kelpie from this guy called Hotspur. He was a merchant sort of involved with the rats, who was Ciri's gang for a few books in the middle of the saga. He ended up joining her. They were sort of companions on the way back to Sintra after she was stranded in the south for a while. Unfortunately, on the journey up, he was shot by a crossbow bolt and actually ended up dying in her arms. And I'm not sure what the sentimentality is around that scene, like popularly. I don't really see it talked about, but I thought it was quite tragic. Next, Ciri and Kelpie make their way to Valdress, a new town, this port town that was made, again, for the game or for the demo, we don't know yet. And I just, man, they nail the vibe so hard. The colors, the outfits of the people, the market, it just all feels like The Witcher. The joke that Sebastian Kalemba makes about the guy being tossed out of the bar and that's what happens when you cheat at Gwent. Oh man, that's so funny. It just feels like The Witcher, and it just, oh man, I love their work so much. But that wasn't the town in the video that stole the show for me. I was already so hyped by the time we got to Valdress, and then when we left, and then you see Ciri and Kelpie galloping up onto the mountain, whatever. And then Sebastian Kalemba says that for The Witcher fans, there's one more thing that they want to reveal. And I'm there like, what could it be? And then he says that we're getting our first look at Lan Exeter. And I lost my mind. This has been my dream location ever since I read about it in the series, especially I'm thinking to all the scenes with Esterad Tyson and Queen Zuleika. Oh my god, his assassination in the Tower of Swallows is one of the most cinematic scenes I've ever read in my life. And I love it so much. It also makes me think that his son, Tancred, is gonna be ruling now, right? Anyway, Lan Exeter is the winter capital of Kovir. Pont Vannis is the summer capital. When I was reading those chapters, it was so cinematic to me because the way Sapkowski described it, in my head, it was translating almost like a wintry Amsterdam. So think Windhelm, Amsterdam, and its love child is Lan Exeter. In the lore, and they're probably going to change this like for convenience, but in the lore, it has no streets. It's all made of canals that people use to navigate the city. It has a university that rivals, if not surpasses, Oxenfurt. And the canals themselves are lined with these houses that are narrower than you'd assume because people are taxed depending on how much of the house is facing the canal. And fun fact, this was an actual thing in Poland. There's this house at Kanonia 18 in Warsaw, which is super, super thin. Actually, it's the narrowest building in Europe because it's less than a meter wide, with its outwards facing facade being less than a meter wide. And though the house itself unfolds and is actually larger in volume than the two houses next to it, the owner was taxed less because that outwards facing facade was so small. It's really odd, but yeah, something to check out if you ever visit Poland. Again, I'm not too sure how strictly CDPR is going to stick to the lore of Lan Exeter, but just its atmosphere was so pervasive in the literature, and so I hope that they are able to capture some of that and bring it to life, and I really hope that they do. So yeah, those were my thoughts so far on The Witcher 4 demo, and please let me know what you thought. I am really curious how they're going to divvy up the locations, if it's just going to be one big map and we just stick to Kovir and Povis, or just Kovir. Or if we travel around to different areas of the map like we did in The Witcher 3 and The Witcher 2. And if so, what areas do you guys want to see? I know I have my dream locations. Lan Exeter was one of them, so thank you CDPR for checking that off the map. Dol Blathana, Brokilon next, please. Gorsvelen. Oh my god, I would do anything to see their interpretation of the Thanid Isle. Oh my gosh, and Sintra. Seeing Sintra in a Ciri game, that would be incredible. But yeah, please let me know what places you would like to see from the Witcher map. Anyway, that's all for me. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in another one. Bye-bye!